Hi, my name is Hillary Jacobs Hendel, and this is part 4 of Working with Anger. Just a quick review. In part 1, we learned a technique for breathing so that we could constantly regulate the body as we work with anger. And then in part 2, we learned to slow down and notice how anger manifests in your body, right? All core emotions are largely physical sensations. And so if you told me you were angry, my question to you would be, what in your body is telling you that you're angry right now? And then in part 3, we talked about using fantasy and other ways to release the energy of the anger, not as a dress rehearsal for what you do in life, but for you, right? How to get anger out of your body so that it doesn't depress you, make you anxious, make you aggressive with the people you love. And in this part 4, once you have released the anger and you feel a little bit calmer, the last step is thinking through what to do with this information that you've now learned, right? Because emotions are data. We want to listen to them and we want to experience emotions internally so that we can learn everything about this emotion and why it's happening now and then use it constructively. So what I mean about thinking through how to handle emotion is, one, this person who angered you, is there anything you need to tell them regarding setting a limit or a boundary? For example, let's say your partner called you a name. What are you, stupid? Of course, that's going to trigger anger. It's an emotion of self-defense. So after you process your anger so you don't just unleash on them in the moment, you may use that anger. And again, with practice, this can happen more seamlessly in the moment where you know you're angry, you can process the anger, and then be able to say, after you've thought it through, I don't want you calling me names ever again, right? That's not okay, right? That's setting a limit and a boundary. And you could see my tone was firm, but I didn't unleash and start blaming and calling names. I simply set a boundary. Other examples of how to use answer is to recognize a need. So I may be very angry because I feel taken advantage of. Everybody asks me to do everything in the home all the time, and I need to set a boundary. I use my anger as the cue for that so that I can say, guys, I'm exhausted and I need help. And I really feel quite annoyed that you guys take and ask and ask and ask. And we need to, as a family, decide the things that need to be done and then fairly divvy up responsibilities, right? That's setting a boundary, expressing a need. There may be other needs that through your anger you discover, and it's not easy to acknowledge a need, and it's not easy to ask for what we need. Very, very hard, but so worth the practice. And if you feel guilty for asking for what you need, you're totally normal. But it's better to lean into guilt versus resentment if you swallow your needs, right? You really have a choice, as I wrote in a blog post on my website, pick your poison, it's guilt or resentment. To preserve your relationships, you want to not be resentful, you want to express your need and contend with the guilt. Just allow yourself to feel it and not change your mind, and just eventually, by constantly asking for what you need and tolerating the guilt, it will get easier. Another thing that often happens when you process your anger is you decide not to do anything with it because it's actually an old anger. So let's say my parents were hypercritical, or they were hyper dismissive, or they never asked me how I am. I might get triggered in the present by anything that echoes those early childhood dynamics, and I might find myself getting angry at my family. Once I process it, and maybe I can make the connection, one question I ask patients often is, have you felt this particular type of anger for this situation before? Is it reminiscent of something as you float back or bridge back through your life all the way back into your childhood? And if you have that inkling that this is not a new feeling of anger, then you may want to direct that anger at the original person, and it might take out the trigger in the present with your present day family or friends. So those are just a few of the main ways that we think through what to do with anger, and to so we feel better and our relationships that we care about are preserved, and many other good benefits. Many people don't realize that depression and anxiety is often caused by buried core emotions like anger. So it's really important to get to know, to learn about emotions in general. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing the many resources that are on my website. And you can get my book at the library, which is a very easy read. It teaches you everything you want to know about emotions. It's called It's Not Always Depression. Working the change triangle to listen to the body, discover core emotions, and connect with your authentic self. It's everything that I wish I had learned in my late teens, before I became a parent and engaged in relationships. Would have saved me some mistakes. So I'm passing it on to you. Anyway, take good care, and stay tuned for more videos and more resources on emotions for emotional health. Bye bye for now.